Let's learn about transitive and intransitive verbs. In this class, we will be concentrating on English grammar. Here you will see two sets of sentences, and please note that I have underlined all the verbs. What are verbs? A verb is any action that you do: sing, play, write, sleep, etc. And what does the word transit mean? It means to carry a person or a thing from one place to another. If you have ordered something in Amazon and you get the message that your delivery, your package is in transit, what does it mean? It is being carried from one place to another. So that is exactly what your transitive verbs will do. They will carry the action from the subject to the object. So what are they? This is your verb. This is your subject. Your subject is any noun or pronoun that does the action, and your object is any noun or pronoun that receives the action. So your transitive verbs, what do? They carry the action from the subject to the object. So what does that mean? They have a direct object. Look at this. Intransitive verbs, there is no object. There is nobody receiving this ran. There is nobody receiving this action. They do not have a direct object. So there is no direct object here. And what is the second thing that you notice? If you ask the question what or who to the verb, you will get an answer. So if you ask the question verb what, baked what, you get the answer cake. Killed who, you get the answer a zebra. But see here, you cannot get an answer. Now that is the second thing that you have to notice about these two sets of sentences. Now these sentences look very simple, right? So let me add something to it and see if the verb form changes. Now look at these sentences, exactly the same sentences, but I have added something to it. Does that change anything? The answer is no. Why is that? What question will you ask this verb? The only question that is possible to ask is how. He ran how? The answer is fast. But that is none of our business. We don't want to ask the question how. Why is that? Because the answer you get will be an adverb. We do not want an adverb. What is an adverb? Adverb is something which tells you how a verb is done. Now tell me, randomly tell me three verbs. For example, speak. Speak how? Speak loudly. Write. Write how? Write neatly. Sing how? Sing beautifully. So adverbs are things which tell you how a work was done. That is not what we want. When we ask the question who or what, the answer we get is a noun or a pronoun. What is a noun? Noun is any name, place, animal, thing, basically anything that you can touch, you can feel. That is a noun. And what is a pronoun? Anything that you use in the place of a noun, which is he, she, they, us. That is what we want. We want a noun or a pronoun. We want a thing. We want a person. It is none of this. What you have here is an adverb. How is none of our business. Now look at the second one. Slept. What question can you ask? Can you ask slept who? No. But what question can you ask? You can ask the question where. Again, none of our business. Where did the baby sleep? Where was the baby sleeping? If you see immediately after the word sleep, you have the word on. There is a noun here. What is the next noun? The next noun is what? The next noun is cradle, but it is not a direct object. Immediately after the verb, what do you see? You see a preposition. Now, what is a preposition? Preposition is something which tells you the location of a location or the position of one noun relative to another noun. That is what it tells you. But it is not a noun. It is not something that you can see, touch or hear. It is just a preposition. It is just telling you where the baby was. So we don't want an answer. Where the baby was, we don't want an answer because we do not have a direct object. There is an object here. The cradle is an object, but it is not a direct object. So we do not want answers to these questions. So that means it is still intransitive. It remains intransitive. So let us now see some examples of both the kinds of verbs. Now these are your transitive verbs. Eat what? Eat a chapati. Write what? Write a letter. Beat who? Beat a person. Cook what? Cook food. Drive what? A car. Now these are your intransitive verbs. Go, come, dream, cough, stare. What is wrong with them? Try making a sentence with this verb followed by a noun or a pronoun. Give me any noun or a pronoun, any name, place, animal, thing, or he or she or whatever. Try making a sentence. Can you get a sentence where the stare comes just before the car? Just try making it. Do we say I stare car? No, we will say I stared at the car. It is not the direct object. What follows the verb immediately? What follows it immediately is a preposition. It is not a noun or a pronoun. Our noun is here. It is not a direct object. Similarly, if you have to say I go, tell me any noun. School. Do you say I go school? No, you will say I go to school, which means what? Not a direct object. What follows is a preposition. It is not a direct object. So these verbs cannot have a direct object, and these verbs may or may not have a direct verb. Now why is that? Is it possible that you can say eat and not have a direct object? The answer is yes. So there are some verbs which can exist both in transitive and intransitive. It can be both transitive and intransitive. Why is that? It is a very interesting concept. Just see, I will show you some examples. Now look at the first two sentences. In both the sentences, the action done, the work done is kicked. But then in the first sentence, it is transitive. Why is it transitive? Immediately after the verb, you have a direct object. You have a thing which receives the action. But then in the second sentence, it is still kicked. The verb is still the same, but there is no thing, animal or a person. There is no thing that receives the action. Instead, what you have is the word hard, which is just the adverb, which tells you how the horse kicked, which is none of our business. We don't want that. Now look at the next two sentences. In both the cases, stopped is the verb, but here it is transitive. Why? Immediately after the verb, you have a direct object. You have a thing which receives the action. So this word is transferring the action from the driver to the bus. But in the second case, what do you have? It just answers the question how. Again, we don't want to know that. We just want to know stopped what, kicked who. That is what we want. So this is an example where the same verb can be used as transitive or intransitive. How do you know that? Immediately after your verb, do you see a place, an animal, thing? Do you see a noun or a pronoun? Is there a direct object? Then it is transitive. Now let us wind up our class with an interesting note on intransitive verbs. Look at the first question. The verb is intransitive. Why? No direct object. Look at the second sentence. The verb is transitive. Why? Because it has an object. This is your object, this is your subject, the one who does the action, and this is your verb. Now what is the passive voice about? Passive voice is what we call a backward sentence, or in other words, your subject and your object change places. Then how will your sentence look? It will look like this. There. So what has happened here? Your subject and your object have changed places. So this is what happens. Now Can you write an intransitive verb? Can you write a sentence which looks like this in the passive form? The answer is no. How do you even write it? Why can't you write it? Because there is no direct object. Now it is time to wind up our class. In the next class, we will see how this concept works in Hindi grammar. Your transitive verb is sakarmak kriya. Your intransitive verb is akarmak kriya. But that is for another day. Till then, Assalamu alaikum.